So Mia, uh, okay, so Mia's question, is there any point where your niche is too narrow? Mia, where are you coming from?
So I am calling from the big island of Hawaii right now. It's about 9 in the morning and I'm at work. So, so I'm hiding.
Okay, all good.
But that's my niche. I'm a hospice counselor, and my business that I'm creating is All Good Grief. And I support women who have lost their partners in a traumatic, uh,
Wow.
respectful way. So yes, so I've been narrowing, but then of course I want to work with everyone, as we all do, because there's value. So I'm just wondering, is there a point where it's too narrow?
Yeah, of course there is. But it's a lot harder to get there than you'd think. The example I often give is here's a target market you could have done that I would have responded to. Absolutely, let's say a decade ago. Like, hey, are you an Edmonton-based marketing consultant who's also a Doctor Who fan who happens to have the David Tennant costume that he wears in his live improvised Doctor Who show and has all the Doctor Who figurines and a lot of Doctor Who books? I mean, I'd be like, oh my God, that's me. But I'd be the only one. It's only me. There's nobody else who fits that description. So yeah, there's a kind of reducing to the ridiculous we can do. And then on the other side, you've got that, well, I help people who are have problems, who want results. I help them with that. Then that's just, well, that's all humans ever. So then it's going to be somewhere in between this. What you've named is beautiful. I mean, I just think you've nailed it. The most exact answer is God bless you for doing that. That's perfect. The general rule, I call the inverse law of geography, is that the narrower the geographic range of your work, the broader your niche will have to be. But if you're on the internet, we want to go as narrow as possible. Things to think about is how many other people are doing the same thing. Because if in the beginning, nobody was doing even grief work. That's like newish in the scene. So then you could just hang out your shingle, say, I do grief work. But then suddenly there's all these people doing grief work in your community. And so how do I distinguish?
Mhm.
And there's lots of ways you can do it, but one of the ways you could distinguish is I'm going to work with this particular group.
Mhm.
And what else was I going to say? Oh, this is the other important thing. You can be explicit without being exclusive. And what I mean by that is you could say, look, I do grief work specifically. Is it for women, did you say?
Mhm.
Yeah, for
Yes.
women who lost their partners in some traumatic
Mhm.
scenario. And you're going to have a woman who's going to come to you and she says, look, he didn't die, but he left me and it was traumatic. Can I come? And you say, well, and then you decide yes or no. Uh,
Mhm.
Another one might say, he's not dead, but he's so absent. And there's a lot of grief in my marriage, even though I'm with him still and we're living together, he's just shut me out. And so you can be explicit without being exclusive. You can say, this is who I work with and still invite everybody in. But the beautiful thing is then you can say, look, you're welcome to come. It's not for you,
Mhm.
but it'll probably still be helpful. But you just have to know I'm not aiming at you while I'm talking. And as long as you know that, you're welcome in. And you also have the right to just say, sorry, let me refer you to some other people who can help you with that to keep this container the way it needs to be. It's only for these women. Or it might be, it's okay for everyone to join at this level, but at this level, you really have to be in that boat. So it's all up to you. But the fear of if I get it too narrow, I'm going to lose people. It's just what happens is if you narrow, um, then you first of all, it's everything gets a lot easier when you get a niche that's somewhat specific.
Mhm.
It gets easier, so you reach more people, and you're getting better results with those people. Why? Because you're actually helping a particular group, uh, and so you get these better results. And as a result of that, you get more word of mouth. They're telling their friends more. Oh my God, I worked with this woman, Mia. It was just incredible. So they're telling their friends, and then their friends want to work with you. And so, again, then at that point, you get to decide how flexible you want to be on those boundaries. But they're not only going to tell their friends in the exact same boat. And some of those friends may then want to work with you. So even if you get a really perfect niche, like, this woman, Nisanka, in my membership has helps, her headline is, "Are you co-parenting with a narcissist?" Yeah. And so I bet you if she's open to it, she'll get a bunch of clients that it's not exactly that situation, but they've heard good things. You'll get referrals that don't fit perfect. And then you decide what you want to do with them. And it may be like, man, it's a cash flow crunch. Okay, this isn't perfect, but it's money and it's good enough. And I know I can help. So sure, as you're growing your following and getting more and more perfect clients. Does that help at all?
Yes, it does help. If I could just add when I was comparing the market, there's a lot of people that work with grief and just sit in grief. And I made it very clear early on in my work, that's not what I'm about. I work through the movement, the journey through. So it's about that transformational aspect of grief that recrafts, I call it, a new person after loss. So that to me was key. So that's why I felt like I was going, but that to me is really my angle, is that transformational process of grief and what my work is about. So in accepting people in my work, if they are just happy to talk about grief, which many are, they're not for me. Then I do refer them to other people. I want people who are just feel within them, they're ready to move forward, because that's a lot of my work through ritual and ceremony and coming to the volcano and throwing grief in the fire. Fun stuff.
Right. So then that's also one of the ways we can niche, just for everybody to remember. Part of how you can niche is, this is my point of view on this topic. And if you don't resonate with that point of view, then I'm not a fit. Beautiful.
Okay.
Thank you, Nia.
Thank you.